Welcome to Noon Wednesday. I'm Marissa Wojcik, multimedia journalist with Here and Now on PBS Wisconsin. Today is August 18. Afghan people who have helped the United States military over the last 2 decades are fleeing Afghanistan, which is now under Taliban rule, over fear of retaliation. Thousands of refugees will be temporarily housed at Wisconsin and Texas military installations before finding a permanent home. Dawn Bernay, executive director of the resettlement nonprofit Jewish Social Services in Wisconsin, explains how local agencies are preparing for a potential influx of refugees. And Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. So this is work that we have been doing for a number of years now, as have affiliates all over the country. And we are getting ready primarily by figuring out where there are available apartments, which for us is the number one priority to get ready for new arrivals. In the short term, because we do expect a very quick turnaround, people will likely need to go into extended stay hotels, so we are reaching out to those, and also reaching out to landlords to make those connections. And working with our volunteers.
And I want to back up just a little bit, kind of just starting with how quickly this process has rolled out. So, we've seen images just in the last few days of people flooding the Kabul airport as the Taliban quickly took power. When all of this started, what has been going through your mind as you've seen the events in Afghanistan unfold over the last few weeks?
It's been very upsetting. We know that SIVs are people who have been working alongside the U.S. military and the military contractors for the last 20 years. And we want to make sure that we are ready to welcome them with open arms. This is just a horrifying situation, particularly the images of people fleeing on the runway and trying to climb up on airplanes as they're taking off the ground.
And the situation and information is changing very rapidly, as we said. Where have you been getting your information and your updates? And is anything concrete at this point?
There's very little concrete. To be completely honest, I have gotten a lot of my information from watching TV and the internet, the same as everyone else, which is not typical for how things happen, but that's just how quickly it is. We work with a national agency called HIAS, and we learned about that people were coming to Fort McCoy before they did. And we learned about it actually from a local affiliate who had gotten news information from a local TV affiliate who had gotten the news from their national. And their national had cornered the Secretary of Defense to ask some questions. So typically the State Department, the Department of Defense will provide information to our national, and our national will then send us information. And it's all happening so quickly that it's not working in the normal communication direction.
How difficult does that make your job?
It makes it very stressful for me. It makes it incredibly stressful for my staff, who are ready around the clock for new arrivals. We have been told that we have 24 hours to agree to take on a case, including weekends. And that's very different for us. Usually we have a week or even longer to make that decision. And then once we've agreed to take a case, we've been told we could potentially expect someone in as soon as 24 to 48 hours. It doesn't seem to be happening right now. There seems to be a bottleneck. The people coming into Fort Lee currently in Virginia, it's been a very slow process, and that is why they are opening up these new places to be able to help bring people to speed up the process. I think once they get some of these kinks figured out, it will happen rather quickly.
And so people understand that process. If an Afghan person aided U.S. military, they are eligible for a special immigrant visa, or SIV, as you stated. And Wisconsin's Fort McCoy is preparing for some of these Afghan refugees to be brought to their military installation near Toma, possibly in the thousands. And then they will be there temporarily, and from there, they'll determine where to resettle permanently?
Correct. If an SIVs once they get to the United States, they're pretty similar to all other refugees, but one difference that SIVs have is they can choose where they want to go. I don't know if that is going to change with this large influx, but historically, an SIV who comes to the United States can say, I want to move to a particular location. And very often they will decide they want to move where they already have family and friends. So our area actually has quite a few people from Afghanistan. So we do expect a number of folks to decide that they want to come to Madison.
And someone who is at Fort McCoy might not necessarily stay in Wisconsin at all. So again, do we just not have any idea of what the landscape looks like?
We don't have any idea. The only thing that we have to compare this to is reaching all the way back to 1980, when the Cubans were getting resettled in the United States, and thousands came through Fort McCoy at that point. And I don't think very many of the Cubans stayed in Wisconsin. Agreed, that was before my time, but I don't think they stayed here.
And so, as you said, you haven't been getting much information trickling down to you besides through the media. Who normally gets you the information that you need? And have they told you anything at this point?
We normally get our information from HIAS. HIAS is one of 9 national agencies that work to do refugee resettlement. And they typically hear from the Office of Refugees Resettlement, which is part of the Department of State. But with the military action that is taking place in Afghanistan, the Department of Defense is now very heavily involved. And from my understanding, even at the federal level, things are changing so quickly, it is hard for the feds to send out information to the nationals so that that information can trickle down to us.
And so do you even know when you'll know more?
We do not. The latest piece of information we received was yesterday, and it was in a statement from the Secretary of Defense that said that these new places like Fort McCoy will be starting to receive refugees in somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm hoping that between now and then we will have some additional information, but I strongly suspect that the processing has to happen before anyone decides who's going where. Typically, there is a long screening process that happens overseas, and somewhere between 6 to 7 federal agencies are involved in screening refugees. The process, because of this crisis situation, a lot of that work is now going to be happening here in the United States. And so we don't even know how long people are going to be at Fort McCoy before they are allowed to resettle into their new homes.
And so based on how quickly this is happening and the large scale, how different is this from any other resettlements that your agency has helped with?
This is very different because we expect potentially to be asked to resettle a large number of people at the same time. We generally only resettle historically about 1 family per month. So we are now talking about considerably more. We may be seeing 2 or 3 families in a week, and that would be a big change for us.
So can you describe just the resettlement process? What happens once a person or a family is resettled here, and what kind of funding and support is available for these efforts?
So when a person comes to the United States, we are given on average about $1,000 per person total that can be used for the expenses of the family. So our agency does a lot of fundraising to help with, because that is just not enough money. And our responsibility is to find an appropriate place to live. For us, it needs to be on a bus line. And we are required to fully furnish and provide household goods for the home. We are required to provide a pantry and a refrigerator full of food for about a week, a culturally appropriate meal, and then we go and collect the individual or families from the airport. And once they come into their new home, then we work with them, particularly for the first 3 months, to make sure they go for their medical screenings, to help them get their Social Security card, to enroll children in school, to enroll parents in ESL if they need that, to help with employment. So all the things that they need so that hopefully as quickly as possible, they will be completely self-sufficient. Families who arrive are eligible for Badger Care, which is Wisconsin's version of Medicaid. They are also, if they have children, are eligible for W-2, which is, again, Wisconsin's version of TANF, or what used to be called welfare. If you do not have children, you are eligible for refugee cash assistance for about 8 or 9 months. And you are available for food share when you first arrive. And we continue to work with families for as long as they need our support.
So it's a very involved process, especially when you're considering adding so many more families to the process. Was there any way to avoid how kind of chaotic and hurried this is, considering how much is involved for your organization?
I think there would have been, but I think that the work would have needed to start several months ago in Afghanistan. And as soon as this was becoming clear that there was going to be a crisis, it would have been very helpful for people to start being able to leave the country much more quickly than they were leaving. Because even though an SIV could leave the country when they chose to, if they didn't have the money to buy a plane ticket, they had to wait their turn to be put on a list to be allowed to come to the United States. And most people couldn't afford to pay for plane tickets for their entire families.
Governor Evers put out a statement saying, quote, "Just as they protected us in serving our country and helped keep our troops safe, we owe it to them to protect and keep them safe." Is there anything preventing these refugees from seeking sanctuary in the United States?
The biggest thing, I believe, is physically getting from Afghanistan to the United States. There are no more commercial flights, so it's really going to be up to our government to figure out a way to get people safely from Afghanistan to the U.S. And that's really important that we figure out how to do that, because SIVs and their families are not safe in Afghanistan right now. There are a lot of other people as well who are not safe, but at least this is a start for us to be able to give back to people in Afghanistan. So for example, a journalist who has all along been reporting the news, which is a very important thing both for the Afghani people as well as for people here in the United States, they would not meet the criteria of being an SIV, and they are still going to be in danger.
So it sounds like you are very concerned about anyone who must remain under the Taliban rule and in Afghanistan. Are you feeling concerned about people that are unable to be helped by the United States?
I feel horrible about that. And right now it's just that much more complicated because we have that, we have the earthquake in Haiti. There's just so many things, and people's how we can focus our efforts is difficult because there are so many crises going on. And it's important for us to at least focus on what we do and what we do well and continue to make sure that we are able to do that.
Now, you've already resettled some people that are family members of SIVs. And you've had a little bit of time to do that. But you've said that your organization is small and is already overwhelmed with people calling wanting to volunteer. What could they do instead if volunteering isn't an option?
Right now, the best thing you could do for the people we are going to be resettling is to donate money to our organization. That in turn gives us flexibility. While we do receive for the families this $1,000 a person, one of the things our agency does is we fundraise so that we can cover 4 months of rent and security deposit for every family we resettle. And we get a cell phone with a data plan for 6 months for every family we resettle. We don't receive any government funds for those kinds of things, as well as a number of others. So receiving donations, financial donations, really makes it possible for us to really support folks that are coming to the United States in a way that will make it long-term easier for them to become self-sufficient.
Some are comparing the Taliban seize of power to the fall of Saigon, and we haven't seen this scale of immigrant refuge coming to Wisconsin's Fort McCoy since 1980, as you said. How unique is this moment in history right now?
This doesn't happen. As you said, the fall of Saigon, 1980 with the Cubans, but because we do have quotas on who can come and when they can come, it's certainly not in my lifetime has there ever been anything like this happening, where we are just trying to bring in so many people in such a short period of time, and we need to do right by them. It's not enough to just bring them to this country. We need to provide enough support that they can take care of themselves and that they can do it in a way that gives them a good quality of life.
All right, we leave it there. Dawn Bernay of Jewish Social Services, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
For more from Here and Now and PBS Wisconsin, you can visit pbswisconsin.org. And thank you so much for joining us on Noon Wednesday.